Hello, Terry Jones here. I thought I would share my process for how I start abstract paintings. So here I am. I have a full-size sheet of watercolor paper, and I started out and I used some black acrylic ink. Sometimes I use black gesso, and I just kind of swirled the ink all over the place. And now I'm taking some acrylic. Probably it's acrylic ink. Now it looks like it's also some acrylic from the bottle, some Nova acrylics. And I am beginning to just kind of put a lot of color in. I've got orange here. I've got a yellow here. This is my warm layer. So I'm just putting a whole lot of different colors in. I usually tend to do a warm layer and then a cool layer, and then maybe another warm layer and a cool layer. On this one, I just kind of got all of the color in, and then green kind of slides between warm and cool, so I finally ended up with some green at the very end. And splishing, splashing, just covering all of the canvas. So then I put a bunch of white in. I splashed with a bunch of white, and then I started using turquoise. And now I'm putting a cool layer in. So as you can see, I'm just laying down a lot of color. At this point, I don't have a whole lot of thought, but I am starting to use stencils to also lay in color. So I will just keep on stenciling in more color. When I decided to do this piece, it's actually going to be 4 pieces. What I'll do is I'll cut up, this is a full sheet of watercolor paper, and when I'm done, I will split it into 4 sheets. I'm planning on doing an underwater series. So I wanted the warms underneath, but I really want a lot of the texture with the cooler colors, the blues and the turquoises, and probably some purples in there. So yeah, here I did kind of a periwinkle color. And so I keep on switching stencils. I'll have one stencil and I'll put it in like 3 different places. When you see me flipping it over and using the brayer, what I'm doing is I'm doing kind of braying down the paint that I put on the top of the stencil, so you get the opposite effect, kind of a mirror image of what I did. So so here you can see that you get a little bit of the mirror image. So I put each stencil probably at least 3 different places. Not necessarily always the same color. I'll frequently change the color in the middle of it. But, so, stencil, stencil, stencil. More stencils. I just like to just keep on working, and at this point I'm working on getting some patterns going. The stencil has some really interesting patterns in it. But as you see, it's not that I don't use the whole stencil. I'll use places in the stencil. The whole stencil ends up being too static for me. So I just keep on going. And, you know, this whole process, I have quickened it 10 times, so this took an hour. And actually it took a little more than an hour because I dried it in between a couple of the stages. But it's fun to do. There's not a whole lot of commitment. I just keep on going until I really start liking what the whole general feeling is. I think I decided I don't really like that stencil. I tried it in like 3 places and said, nah, this is one of my favorite stencils. and it is nothing more than drywall tape. It gives me nice little dots everywhere, and I really like it. Yeah, see, I'm doing different colors, and the drywall tape really works good with the flipping it over and getting the reverse. So now I'm getting down to the end. You'll see me, I'm working with smaller stencils. So I've got a lot of stencil work in there, but now it's getting pretty close to done. I'm doing a little more of the motion, trying to get some motion happening in places with this pattern that I'm putting in there. And I think I am just about done. I will, oh, more circles. It is a very fun process. And it's definitely, I mean, there really isn't anything. You can't go wrong. All you're doing is just keeping on adding color. Thanks.